1958.
Right. But I mean, we've seen the last, I guess within about the last year, a lot of people come back that we thought we had not heard from or would not hear from in the person of Paul Anka and Frankie Valli and some of those folks. But you've been in there writing all these years for other folks. You and Howard Greenfield to go back together a long time.
Mm-hmm. About 23 years.
Is it that long?
We've been writing for 23 years, yeah.
In high school together or
That's
something
right.
along those lines?
That's right. I was 13 when I started writing.
That's the most successful. You and Howard still doing things together?
Yes, and also Phil Cody did Laughter in the Rain and The Immigrant with me. Yes.
I noticed a new song that we're giving some attention to by the Captain and Tennille called Love Will Keep Us Together. That is also yours?
I know that song, yes. Yes.
Who is your co-writer on that one?
That's Greenfield.
Yeah, that's a good song, and it looks like it's going to do wonderful things for both them and for you.
Yes, it's in the album.
It's doing quite well.
It's hot, very hot.
I want to, we have a lot of course, things that turn out biographies and things that are not perhaps always accurate.
I heard you people do research. Go ahead, lay it on me.
Okay, one thing I want to air right away, which is kind of interesting, I think, is that if you want to call it a comeback, your comeback is in part due to the helpfulness of people like Elton John and your following in England. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yes, in 1971, I went to London to do the Royal Albert Hall. That was after not performing for a good 7 or 8 years. The reason that I did it was I wanted to introduce I call my contemporary writing as opposed to the late 50s, early 60s. As much as I love the old songs, I felt that they were detrimental to me for all those years that that's why I sat back and wrote for other people. I felt I was always put in a kind of a box, and that formula kind of song. And it wasn't until Elton and I got together in London, and I did some successful concert tours there, that the American public said, well, what is going on here? You know.
Not the Neil Sedaka of old that everyone associates Calendar Girl with and things like that. That brings me to another point. I want to talk some more in a little bit about your following in England and some English performers and their music. But who comes to a Neil Sedaka concert now? Do you get a mixture of people who remember you back when, as well as people who like Laughter in the Rain?
It's a very unusual kind of following, people who don't remember the early hits, and the older folks who are in their mid-30s, as I am, and it's a nice combination because I like to do a little of the old and a lot of the new.
Yeah, I would imagine that people who are going to see you aren't going to see a medley of your hits from 1958 through 1964.
Well,
at least not most of the music.
I think I'd look pretty foolish singing Happy Birthday Sweet 16 from beginning to end at age 36. Yeah.
But that was undoubtedly you don't regret a minute of it, though.
I love them. I think they had their time and their place, and they were very naive. They were fun. They reflected the times.
Maybe that's an ingredient that's missing today, is the happy type song, the stuff that takes us away from reality rather than brings us to it. We could ponder that, I suppose, all afternoon. Before we get too far, let's have some of your music. This is, we'll talk about this after we get through hearing it. But this is Neil Sedaka, and this is The Immigrant. Page 420 from WCCO FM. Curt Lundgren with you. Neil Sedaka with me this afternoon. And Neil's song that we just moments ago heard, The Immigrant. This was one of the questions undoubtedly is being asked of you everywhere you go. But why dedicate that song to John Lennon?
He's a good friend of mine, and I think that he is one of the great contributions to pop music, without a doubt. I think he has been treated unjustly by the American Immigration Department, and I would like to see him remain. Actually, my family came over from Turkey, from Istanbul.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I'm born and raised in New York, and most of us are from immigrant people. And actually, that's how the song was conceived. So,
I see. How is that particular song at this time on the radio in England or wherever it might be in Europe?
Yes, I recorded that song about a year ago, and it was released in an album first. I did exactly 2 albums in England with a group called 10cc's. One called Solitaire and the other The Trolla Days Are Over. And actually the Sedaka's Back album is a compilation of those couple of albums.
How about new Neil Sedaka music? Do you have something coming out soonly? New album or working on one?
Yes, I like to be one album ahead each time. I already written the next collection and recorded it. It'll be out in July, August. We're going to have this tour for the next 3 weeks, so we'll continue on with this album. And lots of people seem to be picking up on the songs.
They like the new Neil Sedaka. I suppose it's inconvenient at times to have that stigma of being stuck with the doobie-doo-dah-day from the early 60s, but again, as you said, a fun period in your life. We were talking about writing a little earlier, and we were talking about your collaboration with Howard Greenfield, in particular the song Love Will Keep Us Together by the Captain and Tennille, which is one of your creations, but we find that it's also on your album Sedaka's Back. Is there anything... That song has been around for about 2 years now, you said?
That's right.
And it must delight you to no end to see it making the rounds by some other artists, doing well for them, and of course that helped you out too.
Yes, I am. I'm delighted for them. They've been in the business for several years. They sang with the Beach Boys, and they did some of Elton John's Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me in the background. And I'm delighted because this is the first hit that Howie Greenfield has had for a while, and I'm happy to see that.
Good, because you two go back a long ways.
Yes, it's a fun song.
Okay, well, without too much more delay, let's hear it. This is from Sedaka's Back, and this is Neil Sedaka, and Love Will Keep Us Together. There it is. Love Will Keep Us Together. That's by the man who's at least partly responsible for it. Who's with us this afternoon. That's Neil Sedaka.
I'm in shock.
Yeah.
I am in shock. Should we tell the audience why I'm in shock?
Okay, why are you in shock?
Well, you handed me a sheet that's supposed to be sort of a research on
without
my
naming
background.
Without naming any names, folks. There is a service that puts out what's called biographies or bios, as I say in the business, about everybody from A to Z. And I showed Mr. Sedaka a page written about him that was written, and I must impress upon everybody the fact that it was written before your recent, quote, comeback. You've been here all the time, but comeback. And it wasn't to say the least very flattering.
I think it's slanderous. I think I'm gonna call my lawyer. I'm not joking. That's the most slanderous thing I've ever read about myself. I mean, I've read some peculiar things, like in England they say he looks like your favorite uncle and sounds like Gladys Knight, which is sort of nice. But this is slander. I'm going to sue this gentleman.
You were saying that you have a much different image in England as compared to this country, but you've been there and been popular there in the dry years in this country, right?
I've been spending about 3 months a year there.
Where do you make your home now?
I live in New York.
In New York.
Very proud of it.
You're one of the last few to call New York your home. It seems like all the entertainers, everyone's moving out to the other coast or into the mountains somewhere or something along those lines.
No, I've always been a New Yorker. As a matter of fact, I like to write songs about New York, and I like the feeling of New York, the vibes.
Frankie Valli, along with the rest of the Four Seasons, I think, are from New York, too, and I think they still live there, and I think they're very proud of that fact, too.
I think he's in Jersey now. I think he he went out
across.
to Jersey, yeah.
But that's interesting. They could write we could take a whole afternoon talking about entertainers from that area, and a lot who have moved out, too. Well, I know you've got to get out of here, Neil, and before we get too far away, we'll tell everybody where you're going to be. This is at St Paul Civic Center Theater. Tomorrow night, what time, 8 o'clock? Don't be afraid to speak up, guys.
MCA, speak up.
8 o'clock, the St. Paul Civic Center Theater, and I'm sure there are still tickets available for that. And also you have a gal on the bill tomorrow night with you who I know has something new out. Janice Ian will be with you. Is she making the tour with you now?
She's doing a couple of the gigs, yes.
Well,
Very fine.
She has an interesting history in herself, which we won't go into at this time, but I know she's come out with that new album. People are saying a lot of good things about. Neil, best of luck, and I want to thank you. I know you've got a busy schedule, and touring is not the easiest thing in the world.
It sure ain't.
On somebody, it'll drag you down. But I want to thank you for stopping by, and best of luck. And I guess in closing, I just hope we never have the need to have a third comeback. I hope you'll be with us for a good long time.
That's very kind of you. Thanks for taking time.